Okay, my YouTube friends, we're going to go a little bit forward from the last video with Steve was from 1948. This one's going to jump to actually like a 10-year period or so between late 60s and late 70s. And featuring this gentleman here, and this was one of the earlier pictures of Mr. Ken Waller, who was legit Olympia contender in the mid to late 70s, and started out, as you'll see here, with competing in the Mr. America, and then he Junior Mr. USA AAU. He was the winner in '69. Was also most muscular in that contest, and this we're gonna have a couple different training articles. The first one being more his full routine back in those days, and here's kind of a collage of pictures from that kind of training. And the first one is actually from 1968 Ironman, as you see here, by Franklin Page, and it just gives a lot of accolades to Ken and how good of an up-and-coming bodybuilder they felt he was back in those days. Here he is again on a cover of Iron Man. And this was not the particular Iron Man that the article is from. It's just another one. And again, I'll sprinkle a few bodybuilding magazine covers that he was on throughout the video. So it's talking about some of the downsides and why he didn't win some of the things early on. But it did talk about how big he was. He was 6 feet tall and weighed like 240. One very impressive thing, and you can see it here, is his shoulders and upper arms are really massive, especially for the time. Legs aren't bad, decent abs, not a bad chest and rib cage situation. But again, the shoulders were just really top of the line. So as of this article, again in '68, he had been training with weights for 6 years. Wanted to gain weight for football, as a lot of guys do. And then he just kind of fell in love with the weights. Again, that's not an uncommon thing. Here he is on the cover of Health and Strength. Again, that was an earlier one. So 1966 is when he really started to get into the bodybuilding scene. He was, again, it talks about his football career and stuff. There's another collage from those days, and you see the old York Globe dumbbell there, which still quite a few of those around, and they're pretty cool. There he is again doing it. And you'll see the exercise descriptions on the bottom there, but we'll get into more the individual exercises as we get into this early routine. And so here it is, 5 times a week for 3 hours each session, which initially he had, when he was training for football and everything, he was only training like 3 days a week. So you'll see here, schedule 1, bench press, and then he does quite a few supersets, and even a lot of his supersets were actually 3 exercises in a row, as you'll see. And one of them is flies, as you see here. And over the course of both routines, he does flies with both dumbbells and cables. There's the pullover, cross bench pullover, which again was a very popular exercise in those days. And they, even into the, especially, way back, as we mentioned, in the 40s, they thought that expanded your rib cage. And that carried on into at least the 60s and 70s. So seated press behind neck, 4 sets of 8. Again, supersets with upright rows, other things. There he is with the behind the neck or behind the head tricep extensions, just with one big dumbbell, which is kind of interesting. But And there he is doing bent over rows. And you can see his shoulder mass there. It's like, it's really pretty phenomenal for the time. I think his shoulders were ahead of his time. There he is doing lat machine tricep push downs, kneeling, and does a couple of different versions of these later on in the more modern routine that we're going to get into. Talks about his diet with meat, fish, eggs, and salad. Drinks milk in the form of milkshakes, substantial breakfasts. Eats pretty much whatever he wants, including sometimes wheat cakes, I guess pancakes. Not a whole lot of supplements, but vitamin C and B12 and a couple other things. And there again, shot from the rear. His delts are full, and just the front delts, the middle delts, and the rear delts are all very well developed. There he is again on cover of Strength and Health, and again this was one of the earlier magazines. Here's yet another one, and we'll gradually move into some of the later stuff. And he ends up being one of Weider's kind of poster boys. Weider liked him, and he eventually ends up being on the cover of Muscle Builder and Power. And in fact, the more modern article that we're going to get into is from one of those. And again, it's talking about massive deltoids, etc. There he is doing, looks like a kind of old school Roman chair with his feet strapped in. And you could see, I think this first video was when he was training at a Y someplace with the old school equipment. There he is doing, now he did half squats and 3/4 squats in this routine. And I'm not sure why he didn't do full squats so much, but obviously you can do more weights doing halves and 3/4, but it didn't seem to bother his leg development too much. Again, this talks about that he's a nice guy. He's a science teacher in Louisville. There he is now, and that this is we're starting to move into the later years, into the 70s, where he started getting on the Muscle Builder Power covers. There's another one, and again, you can see his face looks more mature. He's getting a little bit more defined, especially in the legs. His forearms are very vascular, and there he is up with Frank Zane and Boyer Co. And it's asking, can the big boys win in '77? So he had every intention of giving everything he could to the Mr. O. Now this is the magazine that this arm article is going to come from, that we're going to go through, and it comes from this later part. And you can see again, Mr. Universe tall came in second, Mr. Universe overall winner 75, heavyweight division of the Olympians 76, he came in first. And then in 77, he didn't do quite as well, and then he kind of slacked off after that. But here it is, total arm development my way. And we'll get into all the texts and the exercises that he did. And it talks about he is one of the most massive heavyweights, talking about his arm program here. And he also talks about the mental aspect, which is obviously very important. And, if your head's not in the right place, then you're not going to make the right kind of gains. Now, his legs look a little out of proportion here, and it's more or less just the way I angled my camera when I took the scan out of the magazine. So it's don't be too alarmed by that. But you can see his arm development there, and doing press downs on the first one. Then he does French presses with the curl bar. And you saw in the last one, he was doing that with a single dumbbell in the previous one from years ago. but still likes the some version of tricep extensions, French press, whatever you choose to call it. So that's actually the third exercise in his tricep routine. Seems to like sets of 10 on the triceps, and says he does 2 to 4 on those, and then he moves to lying triceps press. Here's a different one arm tricep stretch, and I've seen in these 70s Weider articles they call it the tricep stretch rather than like a press or something like that. Here again, he's talking about doing the lying press, which we'll have a picture of, and with the easy curl bar. Again, he prefers, there it is. So he's got his head off the bench there, and he likes bringing it down, pretty far to the forehead, which that's why they call them head knockers. Has his feet up, as you can see, so he doesn't get any assistance from the legs. And then we move on pretty quick, and he talks about using the horizontal rope press out, which is, again, another variation of the tricep push down, usually connected to the lat machine. But in this case, he uses ropes, or he can use ropes. Obviously, he's not using a rope there. He's got a bar. But you can see he's like kneeling down and looks like he's across a bench and doing the press downs. And he talks about having had an injury here where all he could do was tricep press downs with a lot less weight. And he started wrapping his elbows, found that he could train a little better, and eventually he could do everything again. There's a nice color picture of him. He's got a kind of funny look on his face. But you could see, the total upper arm development was really good, and his forearms were really good. So then we move into biceps, and he starts off biceps with the standing dumbbell curls, and he likes doing sets of 12 with those. I don't know why he says all warm-ups with 40s, 50s, and 2 sets of 60s, and there he is doing good old curls, obviously, barbell curls, and you can see he looks really vascular all over in that picture. Seated dumbbell curls, and these are not alternate, he's doing them at the same time. And then he likes concentration curls. He does, if you read all the text, he does several variations of concentration curls, including like kneeling, and there he is doing like a cable concentration curl. He does seem to like the cable work quite a bit for both part of the arms. He's given a little bit better description of it there, and he's talking about for variation, he changes the style of some of the stuff he does, where he does bent over curls and one arm dumbbell curls against the wall. Then he might eliminate some of the other exercises he did using those. There he is with the alternate dumbbell curl, and you can see again the massive shoulder development. His chest looks pretty good there too. Likes reverse curls for the forearms, and he does several variations of those as we go through the text too. And he likes wrist curls both from the front and from behind. Obviously, you see him there, and his tricep looks pretty crazy right there, as you can see. There he is doing reverse barbell curl, as it mentions on the bottom there. And again, and here's bent over barbell curls. I thought maybe they were wrist curls, but no, it's actually like a bent over barbell concentration curl. As I mentioned, yeah, it says it right there. Barbell concentration curl at the top. And he talks about that he likes working with a sleeveless shirt so he can see what's going on with his arms while he trains. See how his musculature is reacting to what he's doing. There again is the old British magazine, Health and Strength. He's on the cover there. It looks like Chris Dickerson. And he's on the left, and Pearl, I think, won that contest, whatever. That was a Mr. Universe, I think. There again, he's talking about looking at his arms when I'm training so he can make some judgments, and he can have total recall. I can tell what movement works best for me, etc. Flex and tense my arms between sets, not only to force greater contraction, but also print on my brain how things are working. So that's about it for Ken and the arm article and the older article. Again, he's a guy that I hadn't done anything on before, so I felt that I should cover him. So thanks for watching. Thanks for hitting those like buttons. Thanks for sharing. Thanks to all those who have subscribed. And if you have not subscribed, I would really appreciate it if you did. It'll really help me out. And I'm going to keep on trying to bring the good content as often as I can. And if you have any suggestions, I'm willing to listen. So again, please subscribe if you haven't. Help me out. And with that, I am out.